Hi, Jisoo. Hi, Lapiche. Magic song. Hello, if you'd like. Thank you. Hmm. You're welcome. Hi, Lena. right, friends, I'm going to speak a little. If you want to stay in the silence, feel free to mute me. Just first off, I'm so touched. Right now, there's 7 of us. Oh, now 6 of us. All around the world. Seeking the divine together. And we're not alone. There are literally thousands of people doing the same practice Bruno taught of tuning in. And then on top of that, there are millions of people in their own way right now seeking the divine, seeking goodness. So the funny, most of you have heard of Greta Hausler, and for those of you who haven't, she knew Bruno Gröning, and she founded one organization called the Bruno Gröning Circle of Friends. And she once looked at Bruno Gröning and just said, I don't remember her exact words, something like, Mr. Gröning, I don't understand. I just ask you for help. Even when he's not there, she's basically saying, even when you're not around, I ask you for help, and then you help. She's basically asking for an explanation. Like, how does this work? Bruno Gröning's traveling all around Germany. She's traveling all around Germany, and she's just like, I ask you for help, and you help. How is such a thing possible? And he just smiled. So I don't claim to understand it myself, but when I ask Bruno Gröning for help comes. Sometimes it's instantaneous, where literally matter rearranges itself. Sometimes it's just a feeling of peace. Sometimes it's an external situation or circumstances change or become more harmonious. All I know is it works. Last night before I went to bed, before I go to bed, I have Bruno time. There's a picture of Bruno, and I hang out with it and just kind of talk, and sometimes just look at the picture and seek to connect energetically. And I had the inspiration to just ask Bruno for help with everything I could think of that was less than harmonious. Please help with this. Bruno, please help with it. Please help. I just went through a list. Not a list, but I just went through everything that was on my mind. And I felt so good. I felt so good afterwards. And so I invite people to try it for themselves and have their own experience. And as I've said many times, this channel is not just about Bruno Gröning. If the being who you trust is Christ, then ask Christ for help. If it's another being, but it has to be a being you completely trust. Just ask them for help with just go through, please help me with this, please help me with that. Because part of doing that, part of asking for help is being humble. Part of asking for help is asking for grace. Bruno was very clear that we bring our own burdens and worries onto ourselves. He quoted the Bible saying, we reap what we sow. Let's see, I'm just looking at the comments. I appreciate your suggestion, Magic Song, and it's optional. If you wrote, yes, just spray of smile here and there. It's optional. Yes, my my connection, and so for those of you who don't know, so Magic Song's a friend of mine, and he shares a lot about Hinduism, and and yes, he wrote, just like the relationship with your guru. Yes, and I've spoken often on this channel about, the guru. Yeah, sort of the Hindu idea. Bruno just spoke of himself as a friend and a helper. And I think that's one of the clearest definitions of well, anyway, it gets a little abstract. But let's see. So see, when I first heard about this idea of asking Bruno Gröning for help, I just thought it was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I was like, this guy isn't in his body. I've never even heard of, I'd never heard of him before. Who is this guy? Why are all these people? But I heard all these stories of people asking for help and receiving help, and sometimes big help. So I was willing to try it. And someone once said to me, you can say to Bruno Gröning, please show me if these teachings are true. It's a legitimate question, the desire for truth. And I did. And the first help I received was a healing. I didn't even notice. It was really funny. But the next healing, it was more of a help. And then I received a healing. I didn't even notice. But the next healing that came, I sure did notice. It was very dramatic. So in the quest for truth, it's very important not to take my word for it, not even to take Bruno Gröning's word for it, but to find out for yourself. That's what he asked of us. He said, don't be gullible. It's such an interesting word, gullible, or the German word also means incredulous. He said, don't be incredulous. I'm going to read the meaning. Excuse me, that's not the word incredulous. Gullible. It's a word we don't use very often anymore, and I think it's a very important word. If you're gullible, it means you are easily persuaded to believe something. It's not incredulous, it's credulous. Credulous or gullible. Gullible. One easily persuaded to believe something. Now let's look at credulous. Having or showing too great a readiness to believe things. Bruno insisted we not be gullible and we not be credulous. And in fact, he said all of our problems stem from being credulous and gullible, specifically believing things that people told us that weren't true without verifying it for ourselves. He said all of our problems come from listening to other people who don't know the truth as opposed to listening directly to God. Bruno Gröning said, that's how, in essence, he said, as a child, I never listened to other people. I listened to God. Now, of course, he heard the words, but he wasn't credulous. Just because someone said something, he didn't believe it. We as children, and sadly as adults, most of us hear something and we just believe it. But that doesn't work because most people aren't speaking the truth. So, everything you hear, which includes everything you hear from me, everything you hear, a quote of Bruno Gröning's you read, everything you hear on YouTube or Facebook or on the news or in any book, if you want the truth, which is a very important endeavor, then we need to check in with ourselves. Does this feel right? Does this feel true? thought by thought, spoken word by spoken word we hear. And I learned the hard way. You know, when I first began my spiritual journey, everything I read, I believed. Like, oh, it's spiritual, so it's true. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. If only it were that simple. Oh, love it, Anisha. How to ask for sin? You would just say, ask Bruno to get, yeah. Anisha wrote, hi, yesterday's community hour helped me clear my doubt for a long time how to ask for healing. You suggested that we ask Bruno to give clarity, which I did. What a beautiful prayer. What a beautiful prayer to ask for clarity, which is another way of asking for truth. Aw, you're welcome, Magic Song. Thank you for all the amazing work you do on this channel. You're welcome, Magic Song. I'm alive because of this work. I was caught between a rock and a hard place. I was on psychiatric medication that were destroying my body. And yet if I even decreased the medication a little bit, my mood would start to fluctuate and I was in danger of killing myself. So it's like, kill myself if I get off the meds, slowly kill myself if I stay on them. And through this teaching and Bruno's help, the bipolar was healed and I was able to get off all the medications. And then I was actually starting to go blind from the medication. I was truly between the rock and a hard place. Anisha wrote, my friend and I suddenly got into a problem on the mountains around 2 a.m. with a car. It started showing a problem in the engine after exiting from the gas pump. I asked Bruno for help, and within a minute, the car started working and without the engine symbol. Wonderful. I got instant help. This is the first help I got with Bruno. Beautiful. Thank you, Anisha. Thank you for sharing that. I can't even tell you how many experiences like that I've had and heard. Anisha, if you'd be willing to write that and send that to me, and then I'll read it on the channel. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you for sharing that, Anisha. And see, the thing is, ultimately, this path is about harmony. It's about harmony in every aspect of our life. God is divine harmony. And it's about bringing that harmony in to our lives, which includes our cars, which includes our bodies, which includes our relationships and our finances and our sex and romance life and our work life and our fun, our hobbies, everything, bringing harmony into everything. And I'm so grateful you had that experience, Anisha. Thank you for sharing it. I hope you'll send an email of it so then I can have a record of it and share it often. Bruno Gröning really asked people to do two things. He asked people to practice what he taught, and he asked people to share when they experienced healings. And I assume that includes helps as well. So thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for joining in. Just thought I'd say a few words, and here we are 15 minutes later. Thank you for your sharings, Magic Song. Thank you for your sharing, Anisha. And thank you, God, for showering. Yes, Magic Song wrote, may God bless everyone on this channel. Thank you. Please Please, God, please, Bruno, for everyone who came by today to this video, to everyone who watches this video, for all those seeking the good, for Mother Earth and every living thing on it. And let's take a minute and ask and pray, and in our own way, we can ask Bruno to teach us how to pray. Oh, we have someone new. Hi, Louisa. Welcome. Okay. So I assume that you're new to this channel or haven't heard of Bruno Grinning before. That I just need to know a little bit so I know how to proceed. Please let me know how much you know about Bruno, and then we'll go from there. All right, well, very briefly, very briefly. In 1949, in post-World War II Germany, one of the most important, in my view, important events in human history happened. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, we don't know. Oh, okay, great. Okay, that's really helpful. Thanks, Louisa. One of the most important events in human history happened, in my opinion. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people experienced spontaneous, miraculous healings. Blind people regained their vision. Terminal cases of cancer were healed. Every conceivable illness was healings happened, and it happened through the work of Bruno Grüning. So one of the things he taught was the practice, the healing meditation that you've done so far, of receiving the divine energy. He also taught some very simple principles that go along with it and are connected to it. One of them is asking for help, asking God for help. And he spoke of himself as a helper, as someone who is able to help people find the connection to God. He said most people were not able to really find the connection to God on their own. He likened himself to an old-fashioned operator. In the old days, to make a long-distance call, you needed an operator. And he said he would help people make that connection. So along with the practice of tuning in, along with the practice of asking for help, he taught people to give away their illnesses and burdens and worries, to separate themselves from the thought of sickness. And literally, like let's say you have something, let's say you have an injury in your elbow. You've gone to the doctor and you have, that's tennis elbow. Ugh, doesn't even feel good to say that, but just an example. So what you would do is, God, Bruno, I give you my elbow. I give away tennis elbow. I no longer have it. What I have now is a healing in progress. to take on the attitude that we've given away sickness and we don't have it anymore. What we have is healing happening, even if the sensations feel the same. And to firmly trust and believe that it is healing and it will heal. Now that's what he taught. I mean, that's a short version of what he taught around physical healings. He also taught people how to be guided by God, how to live a harmonious life, how to deal with negative thinking. So, Louisa, if you send me an email, what I'll do is we can do an introduction here on this channel. Like, you just send me an email and let me know some good days and times, and I'll create an event on this channel and I'll go through an overview of everything Bruno taught. I don't charge anything. I happily accept donations, but I do all of this without charging anything. So there's no obligation. There's no groups to join, no financial obligations. You don't have to believe anything. In fact, I encourage you to don't take my word for it, but find out for yourself. And you can just look at Bruno's picture and ask for guidance, and it will come. So, wow. Thank you so much for saying hello and asking your question. And a very warm welcome to you. What an amazing morning. Thanks everyone for joining in. And please, if you'd like to learn more, just let me know some good days and times, and I'll create an event here on this channel. And I've also already done that. You can look on this channel and look for a video. Actually, I'll find it. One moment. And it's no burden. I love doing this. So here is a recording of a past session I did. Okay, great. I'll take your email and great. I will drop you an email. Thank you so much for saying hello. And oh, you're so welcome. Oh, my sister. I call everyone sister or brother. You are just congratulations is the word, but Bruno Groening is a fierce friend and a fierce helper. And saved my life, changed my life. So many helps, healings, and miracles. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, I'll just share one. I'll share one healing. I already have shared one, but I'll share another. Yeah, so when I first found this teaching, I had trouble with my knees, and I had to put this cream on a couple times a week. They were just pain and tension. I went to see the doctor. He gave me I forget the medical diagnosis, but he said basically there's fluid in your knees. He said surgery may help. It may relieve the fluid in your knees, but it may just come back. So what he suggested is I put this cream on it, and just a couple, at first I was doing it every day, then I was able to do it every other day, and then I did stretches every day for it. And with that, the pain was decreased, but still I had to be careful going up and down stairs. I couldn't bend my knee. I couldn't put really extreme pressure on my knees. There were certain yoga postures I couldn't do. There were certain, when I went dancing, I had to be very careful not to do certain things. So, and mind you, when I got this diagnosis, I was like 34. It was like 34, and I had to be careful going up and down steps. And so, so then I found this teaching, and I found Bruno, and then soon after, I felt very strongly guided to study to study a martial art. I've studied martial arts before, and I went to study Taekwondo. And at my first class, I was like, how is this going to work? Because Taekwondo, you do a lot of jumping, and I couldn't jump. Like, that put too much strain on my knees. I was like, how is this going to, and I was just like, okay, just give it to Bruno, trust, keep tuning in. And I did. And sometimes it would flare up, and I would be like, no, I do not have a problem with my knees. I have a healing. Healing is happening. And this went on for a couple of weeks. Like, some days it would feel worse, some days it would feel better, but I was able to do the class, which in and of itself was a miracle. And then a couple times I would just be out walking, and they would just hurt so bad, worse than I'd ever hurt. And I'd be like, no, that's regulation. Sometimes when a healing is happening, there's a flare up, and Bruno called that regulations. I said, no, that's regulations. I don't accept this. And then the pain would just go. One time I was just walking, and the pain was so bad, I literally couldn't walk. I'd never experienced that. I said, no, I don't accept this. This is regulation. And within seconds, it was gone. And from that point on, my knees were healed. I could do all the yoga postures, Taekwondo, which is a lot of jumping, no problem. And I'm very, very grateful for that healing. So that's just one of many. And in fact, Bruno Gröning said physical healings were only 10% of his work. The physical healings are amazing, but then it's about spiritual awakening, of guidance, of being guided by inspiration, moment by moment. So thank you, dear ones. I keep trying to say goodbye, and it feels so good, the energy, and to share the truth that there is a higher power that helps and heals, helps in all areas of our life. So, great question, Anisha. At some point I will. Yes. That's been on my mind, actually. Thank you. All right, dear ones. I wish everyone... actually, Anisha, I shared some of that in my video, and I shared some today. You just feel into whether something feels right. A thought comes, and then you feel into whether it's a yes or a no. All right, dear ones. Welcome, Louisa. I wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful day. Take care. Oh, okay, Louisa. So let's give that away. Let's give away the knee pain and really take to heart. Now, that doesn't mean stop the stretching or stop whatever you're doing, but let's stop one thing. Let's stop thinking, oh, I have a problem with my knees. And please start thinking, my knees are healing. This is, even if you feel the same sensations, think to yourself, these sensations are healing happening. It can happen in an instant, or it can take a little time. But and so that's one of the first things is to retrain ourselves how to think and how to trust in God, higher power. All right, dear ones, take care, and I'll drop you an email, Louisa. Wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful day.